Nelvin Appiah, you're very welcome to the podcast, Nelvin. Talking sport with Stan. It's great to have you on, lad.
Thank you for having me.
Um, I can only imagine now your hectic schedule is up and running again after what's been a very disruptive year, to say the least. I'm sure you had your goals and plans in place, and then for everything to be thrown into disrepute a bit was a bit off-putting, I'm sure.
Yeah, but your luck. What can you do?
Yeah, you had a big winter's trend, I'd imagine, before
hmm
2020 kicked in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very intense.
I read an interview there, Nelvin, with you before that you had hoped to move to Sligo closer to your trainer. Did that come about, or is that where you spent the winter? Or
Yeah,
was
that's
that,
where
yeah.
I spent the winter.
Okay,
Yeah, I was there for a while.
very
If
good. And if facilities nearby?
yeah, facilities are nearby and gym and everything, so it's all good.
Cool, cool. And how was that transition down to Sligo? Did you mind it, or?
It was different because usually I'll be training on like grass and gravel. So
Okay.
this time I was training on a track like 24/7. So it was different, but it was good. I felt really good and like fast and everything. Like feel like I started to improve more because I had the facilities and all
And is,
that. So,
and is that the surface you would ideally, or more than likely, be performing on?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the surface that we all perform on.
yeah. That's just so important, isn't it? Like, as
Yeah,
you were saying, like the difference you found there already, even from just being on the appropriate surface.
pardon?
Just that you were just saying there, like the difference you found already in relation to your speed and performance from being on the proper surface and having that facility nearby.
Yeah, because like when you're training on grass, it's more softer and like you can move, but you can't move as quick in a way. And
Yeah,
then when you're moving on the track, because like it's made for the spikes and everything. Like when you grip on the ground, then it just pulls you, and then just run faster as well. Like
yeah. I'm sure better for you, like engaging your results and your targets as well. Because you have to factor in all those things, like small. They're small things, but they make such a difference.
yeah, definitely. Like, because like if I went through the whole year without training on a track, even like twice or three times, like if I went to a competition and did a competition on a track, then I'd find it really hard on my muscles as well because my muscles would be like, oh, this is a different kind of surface in a way. Like,
Yeah, yeah. God, it's just going to show the importance. In having facilities, and I know that it's a great initiative this year now to have the fundraiser, the fundraiser going so well, and with the help of God, Longford will have a state of the art facility, for athletes such as yourself and
yeah,
future athletes. It's so
yeah,
important, isn't it?
it's very important. I think it's
Yeah.
a very, very, very good thing that's happening at the moment, anyways.
Yeah, well, look at as I've been talking to you before we started. Had John Fitzpatrick on, and John represents many great people involved in Longford Athletics. So, like, I think you're in good hands, and you need people with vision, and
Mm,
they want to put the best resources in place for athletes like yourself.
yeah, very true.
Mm.
For the
Yeah,
future generation as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And how the family miss you when you moved to Sligo, or
Pardon?
the family miss you when you moved to Sligo?
They missed me a bit, I think. But I was down. I was down most weekends anyway, so it was grand. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose you get a chance to hook up with friends then when you get back, or you're very much in your own world at the minute.
um, the odd time I'd go meet my friends and whatever, but most of the time I just stay at home and relax because like usually after like hard sessions and all that, like you do be tired and you just don't feel like doing anything else.
Yeah, you're not able to do much. Not able to
Yeah.
do much. So come here. What does Nelvin do then when he's in chill out mode? How do
Nelvin
you relax?
just watches stuff and listen to different podcasts as well and
Yeah,
music. Yeah.
good stuff. What are you watching on Netflix at the minute?
Um, what am I watching on Netflix? I think I'm watching Ozark at the minute.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Ah, look, sure. It's tough, especially in these times when you can only go so far as well. Like, and
Mm,
you're still putting in the hard yards and coming home then, and you're limited to what you can do. So it's testing for us all.
yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
It's enjoyable.
Um,
Anyway, so
yeah, when I asked you, Nevin, to put your accolades together, like you're such a young age at the minute too, and it's just remarkable to see all that you've achieved so far. And I suppose as we were talking there, you'll be 19 this year, 19 in October. Is that correct?
Yes, that is
Right.
correct.
Okay. So back in 2016, you were what, 14, 15, kicking intake legs,
Yeah, 14, 15, yeah, around there.
and then you just read like from 2016 right up until last year. It's just incredible, like, you know, how it's taken off for you.
Mm.
You know, and like just I'm looking at some of your some of your records here at the minute. Just the 60 meters, 6.97 seconds. The high jump, 2.1 and 2.5. 2.5 is your record at the minute, isn't it?
No, it's 2.10 outdoor.
2.10. Oh, sorry, 2.10.
And
Sorry, yeah,
yeah,
2.10.
2.10 outdoor and then 2.5 indoors.
You know, what is it like? As I said, I have, you know, as I said, my knowledge would be zilch. So I'm just looking at that. The difference there is that to do with surface.
I
If
think
you're looking at margins there, or what is it in relation to the indoor outdoor?
um it's probably to do with like say atmosphere and like you see the way you're indoors, so it's kind of like you feel like you're in a tight space, like a smaller kind of space in a way.
Yeah.
And then whilst you're outdoors, it's like a bigger kind of wide space, like there's a lot of air and everything.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. And I did read in that article before too that you're a man that feeds off atmosphere as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
That's something I crave all the time.
Yeah, I think that's it's purely natural thing. Like, sure, what athlete doesn't, you know? Like, and
Yeah.
we all get a couple of extra percent out of atmosphere and encouragement and people behind you, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
it's such a marginal game, athletics, isn't it? Like, you talk about like the smallest little things that make such a
Mm.
difference there. Just when you even like, I would never have thought of that indoor, outdoor, even the air and everything.
Yeah.
Incredible. And I suppose you're learning more and more as you go on about what's going to give you that extra inch, you know.
Yeah, it's so true because I came in at like a kind of old-ish age because like the people who I compete against and all that, they started when they were like 5, 6, really young.
God, yeah.
So yeah, I had to kind of work to try and get up there as fast as possible.
Yes, God. It's incredible. It's incredible to see where you are now, and very, very exciting for the future now, and I have to say.
Yeah.
And your 400-meter run, 50.29 seconds. Correct me
Yeah.
now if I have any digits off here. 60-meter hurdles, 8.98 seconds.
The subject card, it's actually 8 point, hold on. It is 8.27. I chopped it,
8.27.
yeah, chopped it down
Good
in
man. Good man.
juniors this year, yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant. The 100 meters, 10.89 seconds.
Yeah,
Correct. Long jump, 6.24 meters.
yeah,
800 meters, 2 minutes 13.73.
yeah.
200 meters, 22.67.
That's actually 22.23 now.
21.63. Incredible,
Yeah,
incredible. Shot push, 12.45.
yeah,
And 1,000 meters, 2:59.70.
yes.
Brilliant, brilliant, and like from 16 right up until last year, Nelvin, your All Irelands, your national, your European achievements have been phenomenal. Like, do you look at from what I've read and from what I hear, like, look, your you know, the future is ahead for you, and your goals are there. So I'm not going to ask you the question of do you ever reflect back on what you've achieved so far, because I know you're not in that zone, um, and with the help of God, you'll someday again, when I make contact with you, I'm sure this list will have extended even further.
Yeah,
But I suppose going forward, like you've made it fairly obvious what your goals are and what you're hoping to achieve down the line. And I suppose, are you an athlete that kind of, you know, you'll have that goal in the, you know, you'll have that goal in the distance, but you very much take it step by step.
yeah. So I just you have a main goal, and just it's just all in the process, like trusting in the process.
Yeah,
Because like sometimes it won't go your way, like sometimes it'll deviate to different directions, so you just have to kind of adjust and just believe that this is all part of like a bigger plan in a way.
Yeah, of course, sure. It's it's in every walk of life, especially sporting life. Most athletes talk about the journey that gets them there. And
Yeah.
it is very important, all those little steps along the way, because you can fall if you look too far ahead.
It's very true. Like if you
Mm,
get ahead of yourself as well, like
yeah, exactly. In the pentathlon, your points, Nelvin. How does that system work? How do you gain points through? Is it it's through competitions? I'd imagine, is it?
yeah.
Okay, so
So
every event.
yeah, so every event is the points are based on how close you get to the world record.
Okay.
Yeah, so the closer you get to the world record, the more points you get, basically.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, very good.
Yeah, I found that out like I think it was in November.
Go
I,
away.
I never knew that at all. Like just all the time.
Yeah, well, you were probably better off in a way, were you?
Pardon?
You're probably better off in a way, not knowing, just because
Ah, yeah. There's the disadvantage and like advantage at the same time. Like
Yeah. Are
yeah.
you? Would you? I'd imagine you've like, obviously you have very high expectations of yourself, like, but you don't let it overcome you, I hope, as in.
Um. No, not as such. Well, like it kind of depends. Sometimes, like because sometimes like people expect things from you because you're such a kind of high athlete.
Yeah.
So then you feel like, oh yeah, you have to perform for the people watching as well as you.
Okay.
Because like if you ever seen me perform, like I like entertaining the crowd and everything, like getting everyone and kind of involved, clapping,
Yeah.
making everyone kind of like cheer and all of that, like so like if you're doing that and then you don't do well, it's kind of like they look at you like, oh, but um I think last year I was doing a lot of that and it was going so well. And then like towards the end of the season, it was kind of going a bit sideways. But that was just because like, total fatigue, like because I had so many competitions last year and I was just getting tired after a while.
Many competitions did you do last year?
I think I had Jesus, I think I had 15.
God.
Yeah, so that's between like Ireland, France, and Belarus.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Look at like that's your personality. That's the way you work, and I suppose like
Yeah,
you can't let like at the end of the day, I'm sure anyone is there supporting you. Nobody is thinking that way at all. Like they're.
yeah,
I think you're dead right, because atmosphere, as we talked about, is so important, and that's the buzz you generate, and like you've clearly, it's evident to see the buzz you've generated around Longford, especially. Like people are so proud of what you're doing, like
mm.
so. That's why I was saying that picture at the start. I love it because it just shows it shows the swag. I suppose even from when you came on as a young 14, 15 year old. Let's say as a person, even as an athlete, you've changed so much.
Oh yeah, I've developed like proper good.
Yeah, great to hear. Really, really, really,
And
really
everything
positive.
has changed.
And how many medals did you achieve last year, Nelvin?
Oh no.
Give us a ballpark figure.
I don't really know to be honest. I actually couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are we talking? You had 15 events, so what are we talking in around the
I
range?
think every competition I got a medal in.
Wow.
So I'd say yeah, around there, like because like there in the 2019 one there, some of the competitions aren't they aren't there like because there's
Okay.
just
Okay.
little kind of competitions like say Connachts or
Oh, I know what you mean.
like
Yeah.
different meets and all that like yeah.
Do you find that difficult, Nelvin? When you're competing at such a at such a huge stage, and like, and not to downplay the others, but when you're competing nationally and you're competing over in France and all Ireland, sorry, and European games like in Belarus, and you're coming back doing the Connacht, games in Connacht, is does that play with you a bit, in the sense? Do you find the motivation altering?
um yeah, because like because I've been competing in Connacht since like since I ever started like
Yeah,
so it's like you go to Connacht and you see the people that you started competing with like So like that's kind of like the motivation there, because like they'll be asking you, oh yeah, how's things, how's training going, this is
Mm.
that. What are you racing in today? What are you jumping in today? Like, and
Yeah.
then you say, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, grand, I'll see you there, whatever. And like, you just kind of take it easy as such, like in a way, like not to sound kind of like,
Oh, I
but
know. I
yeah,
understand. Yeah. Yeah, but look, it's hard because it's hard to be up there all the time, and like with your level of training, like the energy you put into it. I'm
yeah.
sure after events it must be incredibly draining as well.
Oh,
Because
after
you're
events, knocked out in the car, like,
not able for much. I'm sure.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I was just curious about that when you mentioned it because it's hard to be up there all the time, and I suppose in your mind there are certain events that take priority.
Mm. Yeah, true.
Because they're probably key steps in where you want to go.
Yeah.
Mm. Cool. Right. So let's take it back to young Nelvin. Like obviously, I imagine sport was very big in your life growing up, or was it?
Um, Growing up, not really as such. Like growing up, I wanted to be a football player.
Okay, soccer. Yeah.
Yeah, soccer. Yeah. So that's like, cause like that's what everyone was kind of watching and everybody was doing, like playing for
Yeah.
like Melview and Camden and all that.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of lost interest in sport after a while.
Okay. And why was that? Do you think?
Um, I don't really know, to be honest. I just didn't find it like appealing anymore. Like I'd go watch it or whatever and take part or whatever, but then afterwards I was kind of like, yeah, this isn't for me really.
Not doing it for you. No.
Yeah.
Like, do you think was it the challenge of it, or?
Um, I think it was just kind of like the people I was around and like kind of the friends that I was with as well. Like,
Yeah.
some of them were into sport, some of them weren't into sport as such.
Okay. Well, that would
And
have
I,
had a big influence.
yeah, and I wasn't really a person that went out as such, like out much. So
Yeah.
I just kind of like stayed indoors most of the time when I was younger.
Okay. Okay. Well, that kind of makes it makes sense that you found your way then in
Yeah.
what is I suppose it's a individual prepped sport now at the minute that you're
Mm.
in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who do you have a soccer team you support now?
Yeah, Chelsea.
Oh, interesting. I know a few Chelsea heads, all right. And
Nice.
then obviously you were in my own local national school, Kilo, as well. So very
Hmm.
hard when you say you had much interest in sport. Very hard to escape sport in that environment.
Yeah, it's so true. That's where I found love for sport again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I suppose obviously you were thrown into the Gaelic football scenario under the tutelage of Mr. Hart.
Yeah.
At the time, yeah. Actually, I was in watching. You had a fantastic game actually one year in schoolboy championship final. I was in watching that one by chance. I was um not sure what year that was now, Nelvin. It's not too long ago, yeah. But
Wasn't. I don't even remember. We were in so.
yeah, you were in so many. Yeah, I'll tell you, you were privileged. We didn't get into as many now back when we were there.
Yeah.
It was at different times, more challenging. And look, at you would have met of you would have been. I suppose the beauty of Kilo School is, you know, a lot of people are playing the game. A lot of people are involved in sports, so it's probably easier for you to keep the interest up as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very, very, very easy.
Yeah, I think you went on to play with the club. Did you play up until under 16 level?
Yeah. Played up. I think I played for minor for a bit as well. I think.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's where I kind of stopped. Probably at like minorish.
Yeah, but I suppose once you found your way into the athletics field, you kind of had to make a decision, didn't you?
Yeah. Very true.
Yeah, yeah. And had you any inspirations or role models coming up, or who was an inspiration to you?
It'd probably be like the Usain Bolts,
Yeah,
and then probably the Kilo senior team as well. Like because there's a lot of hype about them all the time, like in school and all that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because those are the years where they were like winning championships, and I'd go over to Pierce Park to go watch them, and then I'd be like, oh my god, I want to be like that. I want to be a Gaelic player.
Well, look, if things don't work out, don't you'll always be welcome. Don't think twice about that.
Yeah.
Even though obviously we want to see you at on a completely different stage, but yeah, that like it was back in 2012 when we won it. We would have brought the cup to the school.
Yeah.
at that time. So you were probably were you in sixth class that time? Or what class?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
would have been, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There were good times now for sure.
yeah.
And then obviously, did you enjoy your GA experience, Nelvin?
Um, there were sometimes I enjoyed it, sometimes I didn't. Like,
Okay, what did you enjoy about it first? We'll start with that.
I don't know, just kind of working as a team and like having the hard training sessions and everything. Like, because I feel
Okay.
like before I started, I wasn't like I didn't know that I was fast or I didn't know I could jump high or anything like.
Okay.
So I think after training a while, like after doing it for a while, I just kind of developed like strengths in different areas. That
Yeah.
was something that I really liked, and like the kind of like the atmosphere as well when you go to games and all that. Like I think that's where I got my first experience of like atmosphere. Like like you'll be playing and then you'll be wrecked, but then you can hear the crowd just shouting, and that just gives you more motivation to keep on going. Like,
Yeah, it's interesting to say that because that's probably when you started off then the athletics, that's probably something you missed
yeah,
because Kilo is great that way. It's great in the line of support. Like that most games, especially underage, you will have crowds there and people come out and support.
yeah, it's very good. Like it's very good
Mm.
for a young person as well, like mentally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I suppose what were the challenges of it? Or
Um, the challenges are probably playing in the rain or something, and then
you're not alone there.
just kind of like certain like playing against certain people and just like certain things being said to me as well, because obviously I was like a black
Mm.
male playing Gaelic football, and some people seen it and they're like oh, that's a bit like different or whatever, like we can kind of like take advantage and put him down while he's playing or whatever, like
Mm. God,
yeah,
I'm sorry to hear that one on, Evan. Yeah, that's
yeah,
um back when we played under 14, under 16. Aruna Canoe played with us at the time. I'm not sure if knew
yeah,
Aruna.
I know Aruna,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you know he would have experienced the same, and
Mm,
he was a great athlete, and we would have always, we would love to have seen him stay on with us and progress on to senior level with us, but yeah, that must have been very difficult.
yeah.
And were you left to deal with a lot of that stuff by yourself?
Yeah, most of the time I just like kind of like brush it off if they say it or anything, like
Mm.
yeah, it's kind of like I don't know, because like you're among people who like don't experience it, so like you don't even feel like talking to them because you're like they won't understand as such, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they won't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, so then you just kind of like and as a young child as well, like you don't really know what's happening in a way, so you're kind of like you just kind of ignore it even though you shouldn't be ignoring it, like
Yeah, you're completely isolated, really.
yeah.
And I suppose, like, your family, how would they have advised you, or how would they have supported you in that situation, or
Not
would you be encouraged to persist with it, or
no, they didn't know at all. Like nobody
no?
really knew. Like so, I just
Okay,
kind of it's just a thing that I just kept to myself. Like
yeah. Do you,
yeah,
if you could go back now, would you change that?
um, yeah. If I could go back, I'd beat all of them in like one on ones.
But I mean, would you have maybe, like, did you feel were your coaches approachable? Like, I'm sure they would have been, but
Yeah.
again,
Oh no, my
yeah.
coaches are very approachable. Like they're very good. Like
But I suppose it was very difficult for you. You probably felt it's so difficult, like, to open up or talk about that, or even just address it, because
yeah,
you're so isolated.
yeah. And because like most of the team knew each other as well. Like from like young ages.
Yeah,
I felt like I just came in. So if I kind of like started saying stuff and started complaining about like different stuff, then it'd be like kind of like, oh, I'm trying to take the spotlight or something like that, like
well, I'm sure that wouldn't have been the case, but just
yeah,
it just shows the importance of addressing it and not dealing with it by yourself, now.
yeah, very true.
And like, would this have been, say, would it have been going on at a national school level, or more so under 14, under 15, under 16? minor?
National school and like both like national
Yeah.
school and under 14, under 16, like
And would you like? I'm obviously not going to ask, but like, would you have ended up in secondary school with some of these guys then?
Um,
To cross paths with them?
yeah, yeah, just a few like.
Yeah.
And most of them just went to like other schools like outside the country because I went to mine like
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so most of them wouldn't have been in mine, but like just some of them, just a few like
Like that was obviously very, that was very off-putting for you as well. Like obviously you were saying to yourself, like, I don't need this.
yeah,
Like you're at the end of the day, you're trying to enjoy sport.
mm, very true,
No one's to be subjected to that.
yeah,
Um, well, look, thanks for being so honest about it, Nelvin. And
no
no, but
problem.
even acknowledging it because it's very it's obviously it's a hot topic today, and
Yeah, it's a hot
you know,
topic at the moment.
and the GA it's which is fantastic. Is becoming more and more diverse. And I think it's very important to hear certain stories, especially from yourself as well, and just even just that small thing of saying, that small scenario of, yes, this was happening to me. I didn't really address it. I kind of kept it to myself, which
Mm,
was never really going to have a positive outcome for yourself, and the sport, because
yeah,
you're not changing it for the future, if you know what I mean. It's like
mm,
it's so important, especially coaches involved too, that
yeah,
maybe even just checking in to see, look, if there's a case that this is even happening, always know that you can come to me and it'll be addressed, and like you're not thinking along the lines of stealing the spotlight, like
yeah,
it's interesting to hear that was your take on it, when that
mm,
would not be the general consensus at all,
yeah,
but yeah, good to talk. It's good to
yeah.
talk. And then obviously talk to me then, Nelvin, about, okay, you were pretty involved in the football. Talk to me then how the athletics came about, maybe a specific event, specific moment where Nelvin was like, okay, I'm good at this.
I think it was kind of like in fifth class, I had a kind of feeling that yeah, this is something that I'm actually good at because like we used to do like the odd kind of like running or athletics or like
Yeah.
races during training and all of that like jumping for high balls and all this and I was like I felt like oh yeah I have so much in me like I can jump high and get the ball or whatever and I can like run fast and all this so then there was like there was sports hall athletics um in fifth class, but I didn't get picked for it. So I was kind of like oh and then the following year in sixth class when I was about to leave, that's when I got kind of picked for it. And then I went, and then yeah, I did really good at it as well. Like there was the vertical jump, and then like there's like shuttle runs and everything. Like so yeah, I think that's where I started, like, and it started from Cullum as well, like, so yeah.
Yeah. And anyone in particular come over to you and say like, wow, you should pursue this.
Yeah, I was definitely like Paddy McPhillips and Leslie Finnan, because
Yeah.
they'd be there like during those kind of like, sports hall athletics kind of stuff, like, they'd be scouting in a way, like, so they seen me and then they'd be like, oh yeah, this is that, like, you're very good, you should come join the club.
And was your initial thing, oh yeah, that's great, that's all great to hear, but did you just go home and that was it? Like, didn't pass much heat on it until maybe the next event came along, or,
Um,
or, or is it something that, like, was the seed planted in your head? Did you go home, share it to the family, see what they thought? Because I know you did mention before in the interview as well that your family has come round now, but at the start, obviously they were probably skeptical.
yeah, I think, yeah, the seed was definitely planted in my head, like, because obviously that was kind of like, like me getting attention as such.
Yeah.
So then when I started to kind of get the attention, I was kind of like, ooh, maybe I should because like, someone is actually noticing me for
Mm.
something. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should. So then I decided to go to Moyne. Like I was going to Moyne anyways, but that just made it better because obviously Paddy Phillips was over the athletics as well.
Yeah.
And Moyne always like, participated in athletics and all of that. So it was very good. Like it was a good opportunity. Like
And just to pick you up, Nelvin, on what you said there about people notice you for something was like when you were what strikes me there when you were growing up, like did you always have this self belief, but did you always long for that sort of recognition?
Yeah, it was kind of like longing, like I didn't have self belief as such. I just felt like I don't know, I was just a normal kid as such, like,
Mm,
but a normal kid that wanted validation by other people as well. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, so like, I do certain things so like people will kind of like to catch people's attention, and then they'll be like, oh my god, that's cool, do it again
yeah,
or something, like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that
It's
was
very,
just
it's
something.
very, very interesting. Yeah, like was that? Do you think that stemmed from your not your lack of self belief, but from your self belief that you were you wanted to be recognized, or was it difficult for you?
Difficult as what do you mean? Sorry.
Like as in like coming through the years there, like obviously you were recognizing yourself, go, I'm good at this, I'm good at that,
Yeah.
but being as you talked about before, as a black athlete, and especially playing the GA at that time as well,
Mm.
you would have been in circles where guys would have maybe were hyping themselves up, sort of, because that's all they knew from a young age. The GA, like, you grow up in this circle, and you're trying to break into this as well. And I suppose, like, you're noticing yourself that you're really good and strong in certain areas, but you're kind of you're seeking that validation from others, maybe your
Yeah.
coaches or your peers.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that was
That's,
I'm sure that was difficult, like.
it was very difficult, like, but
Mm,
I kind of just, adapted and just adjusted to it after a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know from, obviously through conversations, like, people, there's such respect for you and such admiration, like, and I'm sure you realize that now.
Yeah.
You
Took me
know,
a while to kind of realize that.
I know, yeah, and like it's hard. And I suppose, like, would you still be in touch with some of your school buddies, or do you find you've kind of drifted a bit, or?
I'd still be in like primary school or
Yeah,
secondary school.
primary school. Yeah, primary school is supposed to start there. Like, it's always interesting to hear how friendships stay together, or whether
Yeah.
they go separate ways.
Well, primary school not as such.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. We kind of all kind of drifted away because like most of them went to Mel's.
Males, yeah,
Yeah, and then I went to mine. So it's kind of like
yeah. So you're
But we
forming,
stayed in touch. We stayed in touch because of like football. Because I still played football when I was in secondary school as well.
yeah. So you would have been in touch with club lads.
Yeah, but then afterwards, when I like stopped, and then we just kind of like we all didn't like talk anymore or whatever. Like
No, that's normal. It happens us all.
Yeah.
It's just goes to show it's a great glue, the GA, but you kind of, and it's, I'm sure if you met any of those lads nowadays, you'd have a conversation about different times. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, who would have coached in the club? I know my uncle Jimmy coached you for a while as well, didn't
Yeah, Jimmy
he? Yeah.
did. Yeah, and David Donnelly
Oh,
as
David
well.
Donnelly is right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's very good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Great bunch of lads. And would you, going back then, obviously, Nevin, in the route into athletics, like, when you start off, was there anything you brought with you from the GA that you think?
Just kind of feeding off atmosphere, I guess.
Mm,
Yeah, and like the competition aspect as well.
yeah,
Having the mindset of having the win mindset, because obviously we as like young kids, like back then, like we won a lot of like games and like championships or whatever, so that win mentality was definitely in my head and has stuck with me ever since. Like, so like any competition I go into, like even if it's like a competition where I'm more than likely not going to win, I have the mentality that yeah, I'm going to win this, like and
that's
then
brilliant.
wherever I come, I'm just like, oh, I'm happy with that. Like, whatever. I bet my own kind of like record in my mind. I bet my own kind of like, doubts in my mind in a way. Like, obviously I'd have the doubts that, oh, maybe I won't win. Maybe I won't do this. But
Mm,
then like after the competition, I'm like, oh, it's grand, whatever. Like that
yeah,
this isn't the last competition anyways. Like, there's much more competitions and all that. And I'm only young. Like,
Yeah, you have a brilliant mentality now, I have to say.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
no, because people like that, it's underestimated for athletes like to think that way, because
Yeah,
it can be very consuming, and to be able to identify at your age, right, on to the next one. That's so
yes,
important. That's so important, and realizing that that you're not going to be defined by any. Well, obviously, there will be certain ones, but you're not going to be defined by all competitions that you do. That each will bring their own.
yeah, very true. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool, Nelvin. I came across this when I was doing a bit of research on you, the New Generation series, the photographs, and I thought it was a fantastic initiative. Can you talk me through that day, like, and just talking through the other athletes and the general mood? And as I said, I was looking at the picture. I put that one of you up in the middle because you're happier looking. I did.
yeah.
Because if anyone was looking, said, "God, Neville so shares," and loving the hairstyle, man. By the way.
Oh, thank you very much.
As a funny one, actually, I was telling John Fitzpatrick before, because John had got these sort of dreadlocks years ago, which he formed into
Yeah.
a pineapple on his head. And I went down the cornrows route myself years ago as a young lad.
Yeah.
Coming off possessed me, but I couldn't pull them off, as you can imagine. But yeah, Nevin, just talk me through that day, like the experience of it, and
Yeah, so I was sitting at home one of the days, and then I got a text off someone. His name is Ramsey, and he was just asking me would I like to take part in this to the New Generation project, and I was like, yeah, yeah, I might do. Like, it was just kind of like something to do, and because like it was a kind of hot topic at the moment, like all the racism and Black Lives Matter movement.
yeah.
And yeah, I decided to do it, and then yeah, the day came. I was actually training in Sligo, and then I came back from Sligo and went straight to the Mall complex to take these photos. But
Oh,
yeah,
these were taken in the mail, were they?
yeah, it was in the Mall. Yeah,
All right, okay, very good.
yeah. So everyone got their photo taken in their like county, like,
Okay, very good.
yeah. But it all looks like we all took it in the same place.
Yeah, so it's well done, actually. Yeah, it did look like that. Yeah. Well, look at it.
Yeah,
Probably would have been, well, obviously, with restrictions and whatnot. But yeah, and
yeah.
like, had you to do any interview or have a chat about, or was it just basically just action shots? I suppose picture paints 1,000 words anyway. So
Yeah, it was just action shots, and we just had to like come up with something to write on the piece of cardboard there. So I
okay,
wrote, being desensitized by
yeah,
racism shouldn't be normalized.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when all this, like, the tragedy and the surge of the Black Lives Matter movement, like, did it bring back personal things to you? Did it throw you back to when, as we spoke earlier about, certain comments being made when you were playing GA yourself? Did it throw you back to those moments?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, cause we had a what do you call it? We had a what's it called? A protest here as well. Well,
Mm,
a march, like,
okay. Yeah, that's
and
right. Right.
yeah, and I was talking in this as well. I was kind of like one of the organizers as well.
Mm,
Yeah, so that was really good. But yeah,
very
it
good.
brought back a lot of like past memories, and then I just started to realize that I've been desensitized to a lot of stuff, like just not reacting because like you just feel like you shouldn't be reacting as such.
Yeah, or you have no right to. That's what
Yeah,
you probably
so
felt.
that's
Yeah.
why that's written on the cardboard. Like,
Yeah, and I just think that message is so important, and I really appreciate you being so open about it, like,
oh
and
yeah, no
chatting,
problem.
because it's yeah, for everyone it's so different. Like, for me personally, I do find it hard to believe, like, in a way, because some of us just assume that we that we all think along the same lines. Like, for me, it doesn't even enter my head. Athletes are athletes at the end of the day, and teammates are teammates, and but when you hear then that it's still evident, and it was even happening to you, it's disappointing and it's disheartening, but it's just so important to get the message out. And it could be just a small example that helps a younger athlete in Longford here at the minute, who might be playing in GA circles, because we still wanted to break on to senior level in Longford. We're still waiting.
Yeah,
We're still
yeah,
waiting. And it's something I want to see. And back when back when, say, Aruna was playing with us at that time, I firmly believed at that time, and obviously, look, at life changes for a lot of people as well. It's not
Yeah,
just,
very true. Like,
there's different scenarios, but it's something you'd love to see, because I think it just would, especially, it'd just define it,
mm,
it just would define it, it'd cement that change.
yeah, yeah. It also it looked very good as well. Like,
Yeah. And
just bring a lot of diversity into the team.
I have to ask then, I suppose, Nelvin, like, as a whole, up until now, and I suppose, like, obviously you had your moments, and there was difficult moments for you in there. As
Mm.
a whole, when you look back, and I suppose, like, from a club perspective and being part of that team, I'd like to think that you felt very welcomed and very accepted too.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, definitely.
Mm,
Yeah, got a lot of help from everyone, I suppose.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's
and there was
it's encouraging to hear that, because you would hate to think that you'd look back, and you'd look back at it on a solely negative light, but it's nice to hear, like, that you know uh, you were accepted, and you were welcomed, and you were loved by all.
definitely, like, not everyone is bad.
I know, yeah. Look, it's in, like, every walk of life, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
You're always going to have the few, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, talk to me about your greatest achievement to date.
Oh,
What do
greatest
you
achievements.
regard? Now, this is not going to be, like, obviously this is going to change, but to date, up to this point, what are you most proud of?
Um, I'd
If you,
say I'd say representing Ireland in Minsk
that looked amazing, hey?
in Belarus. Yeah, because that was my first ever senior, and I became the first senior in 30 years as well, which I
Yeah,
never knew, like, until Leslie told me, and I was like, whoa.
phenomenal, phenomenal. Like, I was reading about that, and was it Brendan O'Reilly before you that had like, was he a Longfordian for the high jump, had the record for the high jump? Am I right in saying?
Um, oh, I'm not sure, to be honest.
That's
I
me
forget.
familiar. Yeah, I think you were. I think you. Well, he held a record, I think, before you came along,
Yeah.
the high jump. So, there's such a list of names there. I was just reading through the athletics website. It's phenomenal. Like, and talk to me about that experience. That looked unbelievable. I just seen a few pictures from it. Like, and
Yeah.
you talk
Oh,
you talk about atmosphere, Nelvin.
it was like, even thinking about it now, like, I can just feel the shivers down my spine. Like, it was amazing. Like,
Like,
cause
sure,
like,
that's what you need. That's what, like, I suppose that was your
yeah.
injection. That was your injection going, yes, this is
Oh,
what I.
definitely, like, cause even all my teammates could see it, and then all my teammates are like, "Oh, this is for you. Like, this is your stage." Like, well, like, the whole crowd behind you, doing all these claps, like, getting the crowd to, like, start shouting and everything. Oh, it was just amazing. Like,
And we G'ing them up, you were.
pardon?
Were you getting them going yourself as well?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Expect that. That's the piece. Cool, cool. And was there any other like, your fellow athletes that you traveled over with? Like, did you know them beforehand, or on your
um,
team, or was it?
I think I knew, like, one or two.
Okay.
Yeah, and then most of them I just, like, just met them there or whatever. But we all became close enough, like, when we were down there or whatever. Like, I'd
Yeah,
still be in contact with some of them, like, and, like, say we go to competitions, then, like, we talk and be like, oh yeah, how's things, how's training and all that, like, how's it going?
yeah. It's very important. It makes a difference when you're heading to these events to know a few. Like, it kind of settles you a bit as well. You don't feel on your own as much.
Yeah, definitely, like, and definitely because, like, the people that the people sorry, the people that I went with as well were, like, much older than me as well, like,
Yeah.
so it's kind of like, it matured me as well when I went over.
I get hard to get my head around it, Nelvin. To be thrown, like, as phenomenal as it is, but to be thrown into senior level like that, it must be very overwhelming. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's so, like, kind of surreal, like, but you just have to kind of, like, adapt really quickly and not, like,
yeah,
shock it as such, because, like, obviously I've worked so hard, like, I deserve it in a way, like.
yeah, and absolutely, absolutely. And that event took a couple of days after your leaving cert. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was straight the day after we left for Belarus. So I was lucky that I was doing my that my last exam was the day before.
Do you remember what the last exam was?
Oh geez, I think it was chemistry actually. Yeah.
Oh, lovely. God. And what was the mindset like during the leaving cert? Was just Belarus just floating through your head all the time?
Yeah, Belarus was floating through my head, but I was just trying to like, focus as well. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of hard to kind of balance both in a way. So I just tried to kind of like ignore the fact that I was going to Belarus. So then like, I'd be sitting there studying. The next thing you know, the postman comes with a big box and then it's just a big box full of gear. And I'm like, oh my days, like, you know,
Yes.
it's so close, it's so close. And I'm just trying not to look at the gear. And then I just end up unpacking all the gear and like, it's just loads. Like,
That is a lot to deal with.
yeah.
Like, the leavings are stressful enough without having this massive event hanging over you as well, like, and
Mm.
but then probably great in a way, like that you were getting, you're going from leaving cert and you were getting away from it then straight away, because when you're hanging around, you can be dwelling and worrying, oh, how did this go? How did that paper go? And
Yeah, and
all this stuff.
you could be like proper nervous. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot that I completely did a leave it cert when I was over.
Oh, they freaked me out if someone was telling me that, and I go, oh my God, like. And the
Yeah.
gear is lovely, by the way, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. Like we got so much as well. Like
Like where is the space for? And like I actually came into my head earlier. I meant to ask you, like, you're winning all these medals, fantastic, but where are you putting these medals?
oh, they're hanging up in the sitting room. So I have a cabinet that I just hang all my medals in and then keep all my trophies and everything in as well.
You getting any grief at home, like, Nelvin? What are we going to do with all this stuff?
They just say that, oh yeah, we'll just end up selling it like when you become professional. Like
That's the right attitude. Brilliant. Yeah, I wondered, and then all the gear as well. Like, where do you put it? But look at
yeah,
it's fantastic. It's a big part of it. It's a
yeah.
real. People underestimate gear in sport and little things like that, but I
Mm.
always found that it adds to that level of professionalism, and
Yeah,
it makes
definitely.
makes you feel really a part of it. And yeah, I'd be a big believer in all the small little things, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually very important.
So, how long were you out there then? How long were you out in Belarus?
Um, Jesus, I actually forget. I think we were out there for I think a week or 2 weeks or something. I think like around 10 days or something like that. I
Yeah,
think. Yeah,
what an experience, and
yeah,
you traveled to France as well, Nelvin, you were saying earlier.
yeah. I traveled to France on the regular, anyways. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to compete. Like,
And how do you find those trips? Like, I suppose, well, before this, like, did you travel up as a team on the bus first and fly out together, or were you flying out individually, or?
we'd fly out like individually usually, or like
Okay.
say like two of us would fly out, or like three of us, and then sometimes like a whole team of us would fly out. But yeah, most of the time it was kind of like two or just by myself. Like, so
Okay.
it wasn't that bad. Like it's grand, but and like competing in France is amazing as well. Like,
As I said, I can only imagine. I can only imagine. But it's fantastic, fantastic experiences for you. And as I said, it's a huge motivation, I'm sure, as well.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
To get to these events, and this is the level. From talking to you, and I can sense it off you. Like, the level of where you want to be and where you want to get at. These occasions are so important.
Yeah, it's all part of the process, anyways. Yeah.
Brilliant. And any update on I don't know if you can share, but about your scholarship in McNeil State
Uh,
University, or has
uh,
this year been difficult?
yeah, this year has been difficult, like very difficult. So kind of like, kind of on edge on what to do now. So we just have to kind
Okay.
of wait. Yes.
Right. Okay. Well, look, I won't delve too much into that. I understand, but
Yeah.
I said I hope it all falls into place for you.
Yeah, they will.
Um. Okay. I don't want to go down your spot. So I want you to talk to me about your training schedule, Nelvin. I'm curious. Can you just give me an example of a week in the life of Nelvin?
Okay,
Um,
so I train 6 times a week.
Monday to Saturday.
Pardon?
Monday to Saturday, is it?
Uh, No, I train Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I have Friday as a rest day.
Whew, okay. What time are we starting on each of these days?
It depends. Sometimes I have like say a double session, so that's like running in the morning and then gym later on, or gym in the morning then running later on, or like plyometrics and then running as well. But like yeah, I kind of at the start of lockdown I had double trainings just to kind of like build. So now I'm back onto the singles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just very demanding. Obviously, your nutrition plays a big part in it, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like just getting the right kind of right proteins in and all of that. Like
And would you have help in that line, Nelvin? Would your coach help you in that line, or is it up to yourself really?
it's up to I think it's up to myself to be honest. Yeah,
And
you know.
do you go by do you kind of do you know your body at this stage, or do you use any apps like Fitness Pal or anything like that to sort of help you or guide you along? Or
No, I know my body at this stage. Yeah,
cool.
because
So,
I've been doing it for so long. So,
what calories do you consume in a day, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
You wouldn't
Like
know.
as in like figures.
Well, just a ballpark figure, like I suppose. Or you just do you eat for energy, sort of say?
It just all kind of varies. Like it depends on what I have. Like what sessions
Yeah,
I have. So
yeah.
if I know I have a hard session,
So,
then I'd have like a good breakfast that has like a load of carbs
yeah,
and some protein as well. And then
yeah,
afterwards, I just have my protein. And then if I know it's a kind of easy session, then I'd have um protein and then carbs as well. But it'd be kind of like less protein, but a bit more carbs in a way. But it would be less carbs than I'd have for a hard session, anyways.
yeah.
So it'd be grand. Like so, that'd do me for my session. Like
The reason I ask is because athletes are different. Some people prefer to track and they like to keep track of everything. And then
yeah,
there's like yourself there, that kind of just naturally you kind of know at this stage what your body needs
yeah.
and what it wants. Some people said like they kind of eat for energy rather than focusing on everything they're intaking and the benefits of it and whatnot. But
Yeah.
probably it's a healthier approach you have.
Mm.
I feel that you're not like you're able to just do it on the automatic and train away. It's very intense,
Yeah.
very intense. Like, and how many, like, you're at this couple of years now as well, so I'm sure it's second nature to you. But starting off as a youngster and getting into athletics and then being introduced to all these different types of training like plyometrics and strength training, and I'm sure it took getting used to.
Yeah, it really did. Like, because like obviously in athletics, like it's all about muscle memory.
Mm,
So it's like training your muscles to remember the certain movements.
yeah.
So like, yeah, it takes time. Like, because like once when you start kind of like new drills that you haven't really like done before, it's really hard to get your head around it. But then after a while, like you just
Mm,
becomes second nature to you.
yeah, very technical, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's extremely technical. People do be seeing me train and then they'll be like, oh, sure, you're not doing anything. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, so try this. And then they'll be like, what the hell? I can't do that. Like,
I know, yeah. Yeah, like the array of movements, like, and you have to perfect those small movements.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
you're going to pick up injuries then, I'm sure, and especially in your game, I'm sure it's like it's marginal,
mm, yeah,
marginal.
very true.
And when from a young age now, when you were saying you had to play a lot of catch up, like, was your training even more intense then at the beginning than it is now as regards, or are you just at a, I suppose what I'm trying to ask is, when you were coming off and people were working with you to right, okay, was there this attitude of, okay, we need to up the level of training now to get you up to where other athletes would be at this stage?
No, I think they try to like kind of, it was just kind of like, joining in and then like just doing the same training as everyone else. But
Yeah,
like when I went home, I do like, my extra bits or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, so I do like,
that's the difference it makes.
a run session. Say we'd have running session in the nighttime, and then when I wake up in the morning, then I'd have like another running session that I do by myself or whatever.
Okay. And is it mainly interval running, Nelvin, you do, or do you?
Um, no, I do high jump as well, but
Yeah,
like it was kind of like running is kind of like the basis because like obviously like in a way you have to learn how to run properly.
yeah.
Like you have to learn how to like switch on and switch off in a way when you're
Yeah.
running. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know about the high jump. I just mean when you say when you go for your run, like
Oh,
when you're running, like obviously, your technique in preparing for the high jump, I'm sure is different than when you're just straightforward running.
yeah. Yeah, but some of them cross over in a way. Like
Yeah.
me doing my high jump benefits my running, and then me doing my running benefits my high jump as well.
Oh, okay. Very good.
Yeah.
And like if when you're heading out for a run yourself, as you'd say, is that your 200-meter runs, your 100-meter runs, like do you perform the various distances, or do is there a recovery run, or
No, it'd be like so we'd have say like 9 100s or like
yeah,
4x4 by like 120 or like three or no like 5 60 meters, then four 50 meters, and then like kind of down in a pyramid or whatever. It kind of varies like
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like you're training short, quick, snappy, and then you're training long endurance, but snappy and quick as well.
Okay, okay. So, right.
Yeah.
Very good. And then as I said, I'll probably touch on it right here. Your off day Friday. I'm sure you look forward to
Yeah.
that.
I try to relax sometimes on a Friday, but more than likely I just end up doing a bit of like, core work or like, just
Yeah.
some just to kind of like, keep me up to date
Ter-
with my in a way.
Teraband work probably and all. Your
Yeah,
little,
resistant band.
little niggly bits. Yeah, they're the
Mm.
they're the most tedious exercise, which are so important.
Yeah, it's so
Mm.
true.
Yeah, well, look at this. That's your mindset. There's it says titled rest day, but it's not really.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's like, and I'm sure it's the most important part of what you're trying to do is being able to switch off and
Mm.
being able to get away and do other
Yeah.
things. Do other things you enjoy. It's healthy.
Yeah, distract yourself.
Mm.
Yeah.
Great, Melvin, great. We're on the spots now. Hope you're ready for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, your first one. Who was your favorite teacher in national school?
Oh. I'd say Miss Dalton.
Ah, yeah, Deirdre
Yeah,
Dalton.
because I went into her first and she really made me feel like, welcome. Like, it was very good, like, of her.
Deirdre's lovely. Yeah, so you would have been your first second class when you joined Culloden, or
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
great, great. Your second one. What sport would you be playing if you were not in athletics?
Oh. If I wasn't in athletics, I'd probably be playing basketball, I think.
Actually, well, if I had to guess the answer, I was going to say basketball. Did you play a bit of
Yeah.
national school?
Yeah, I played a bit in national school, but it wasn't something that I really got into.
Mm.
I kind of wish I did get into it a bit, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, be grand, like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, you would have had all the attributes for it athletically.
yeah.
It's a great sport. It's actually come up a lot in my chats. Actually, basketball.
Oh,
Just
really?
just the benefits of it. That
Yeah,
I think it's very important for every young athlete to play a bit of it at some stage.
yeah,
Because it's got it all. But do you follow the NBA?
yeah.
Who are you a fan of?
Houston Rockets.
Oh, good man. Likewise, likewise.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'd be. Well, I wouldn't have always been, but I like Russell Westbrook. But
Westbrook. Yeah.
yeah, and but I suppose I'm a big Kawhi fan as well, so I'd be kind
Clippers.
of rooting for the Clippers this year if it goes
Yeah,
ahead. I hope it does. But yeah,
yeah. It's back next month on the 30th, I think. Yeah,
yeah. I don't like the rise in these cases and different players dropping out, and I don't know, the whole thing could be pulled yet. But
yeah.
yeah, I think Clippers or Rockets. I'd be happy, man. What about yourself?
Um, it'd be Rockets and probably Don't know now.
Who's
I don't know.
are you a fan of any particular player?
Oh yeah, Kawhi definitely.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Class act is right. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Look, it's good. It'd be great to have it back now, and look, it just goes to show, Nelvin, the importance of sport in our lives, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
it
definitely.
plays a massive part, and I'm sure at the start of the year it was difficult for yourself, to hear, that different events were being cancelled, and and I know you have an event coming up in August. You said, is that right?
Yeah.
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 So that's the next one. Where is that taking place now?
That was taking place in Kenya.
Okay, brilliant.
Yeah.
So that's the focus at the minute. So
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'll still be able to go next year because
yeah,
I'll be older, like, so we don't really know what's happening there at the moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
How would you find competing in different age groups now? And does it take away from one the fact that you still have to compete at your, you're competing at senior level, but you're also competing, at your age level as well? Like, do you find that, does that pull from you a bit?
Um, I think it's just all experience. Like, it just
Yeah,
builds you as a person. Like, knowing that you're competing against the best in Ireland, and then knowing that you're competing against people that is as good as you, like at your own age group. Yeah, it just kind of builds character as well. Like, and
yeah,
it makes you want it more as well. Like, it makes you just like want to beat them once, like, makes you want to be the best in a way. Like,
yeah. That's brilliant. Like, I love your attitude. I have to say, it's incredible. Like, just the way you're able to view things at the moment, at this, in the early stage of your career, and
yeah,
it's been an honor chatting to you, Nelvin. And I want to wish you all the best going forward. And we'll all, I can only speak for myself, but I'll be keeping an eye out and I'll be rooting for you. And I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to reach your goals, and you're going to hit that international stage. And you're already making everybody proud, and that'll never change. And
yeah.
with I know down the line this chat will be even more appreciated. As I said,
Yeah.
it'll be a lot more difficult to to contact you and get in touch. But I really appreciate you taking the time. Good
No
luck
problem at
good
all.
luck with everything you do. I wish you great success and good health going forward, and keep up the great work, Nelvin. And thank you very
Thank you very
much
much.
for your honesty as well, and just being so open there in the chat. And
No, no problem.
I think it's very important. And yeah, top man, Nelvin. That's for sure. Top man.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
buddy.
All right, no problem.